So hello everyone. I hope that you can hear me. Just give me comments if you can hear me okay. My name is Ryan. Welcome to today's webinar. And I should say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are in the world. I'm here just outside London today, and it's quite a nice bright day here in the UK. So let me know if you can hear me, and let me know where you are in the world. Okay, thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Samantha. Cass from South Africa. Thank you. So I've been teaching for around 17 years. I've been teacher trainer for many, many years as well. I've taught people from all over the world, from just about every continent. And I've worked abroad as well. And happy to pass on some of my experience for you today. That's great. So who have we got here today? Samantha from the Bahamas. Wow. Robert from Bournemouth, just down the road. Tyron, also from South Africa. Deborah in Cornwall. It's a lovely part of the UK. Geraldine is from Western Canada. Judy from Grenada. That's great. Liana, also from South Africa. Lots of people from South Africa here today. Olga from Ukraine. Hi, Olga. And Lois from the UAE. And Zena also from South Africa. All right, so we've got a very nice audience from that part of the world today. That's great. Okay, well, let's get straight into it. Today we're going to be talking about applying for TEFL jobs and 20 factors that you should consider when you're applying for jobs around the world. And yeah, that's a great subject. So for many of you may be looking for jobs at the moment. Many of you have maybe just started jobs or starting to think about where you would like to go and teach. Everyone's got their idea of what a perfect teaching job is and what a perfect location might be. And if you're getting your TEFL certificate, it's a great opportunity for you to travel around the world and teach in different places, experience exciting new cultures, and teach people from very diverse backgrounds from all over the world. Of course, you can also teach from online. You can teach anywhere in the comfort of your own home from a remote working, shared working environment. So there's just so much opportunities, and we're going to talk about some of those things today. Okay, so I've got a few questions for you. I want you to think about these things. What is your perfect job? Do you want to travel for your work, or do you want to stay at home? I want you to, before we get into some of the details, I want you to think about and visualize your perfect job and drop that in the comments for me. What would be your perfect scenario? Would it be teaching somewhere exotic, or would it be teaching from your home office? Just let me know. What do you think? What kind of teaching environment would you like to be working in? What do you think a typical day would look like? So Natalia says a combination of both. So a bit of traveling and also working from home. Yeah. So you can have the best of both worlds. You can stay and live in a foreign country, but you also have the flexibility of teaching online. But you're still experiencing a different culture and you can travel inside a foreign country. Let's see. Alison says from home. Also, Kaz from the comfort of my own home. Mena also from home. All right, lots of people would like to teach from home. Caroline says start working from home and take it from there. Robert says start in the UK, then travel abroad for teaching when it's cold here. All right, that's a really good comment there. Here's a comment from, I can't pronounce that. I'm not going to try. Long term, like to work online from home and then go off sometimes to teach groups. Yeah, okay. Comment from Tyron. Prefer to teach at home. I can't drive. Well, I didn't own a car for a long time. It didn't stop me from getting around. It's much more convenient to work from home, though. I totally agree. Um, and why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you work from home if you wanted to? But also, there are certain advantages of going out there in the classroom and going to companies to teach and that kind of thing. So there's many opportunities. All right. So lots of people saying they would like to do both. Zena, for example, mentions that she'd like to work from home, but also loves being in the classroom. So you've got that flexibility. There's a great comment from Liana. Teaching English around the world. Would love to go to South America. Yeah, me too. Somewhere warm and exotic. Absolutely. Absolutely. Olga says, currently working from home, probably would like to try a place somewhere in Europe. Yeah, yeah. Great, great amount of opportunity to work in Europe as well. All right, good. So also some of the other things to think about. Where would you like to work? Would it be in Europe? Would it be in exotic South America or somewhere else? The world is a very big place. What would you expect the typical day would look like if you were working from home or working abroad? Would it be in the morning, in the afternoon? What would you prefer? And what do you need from a job apart from the obvious things like an income? What else would you like to get from a job? Is it just about the paycheck, or is it you want to develop your teaching skills, teach in a different context maybe, or is it you want to try and teach online because you've been teaching in the classroom before? What do you need to get from a job? Any suggestions about that? Of course, the salary is important, like the security, working for a good company. Geraldine says, work online in the morning, volunteer in teaching English in person in the afternoon. That sounds really good. Yeah. To start the day off in the comfort of your own home or your office, and then later you can get out. So you've got a very varied day there. Good idea. I think it's Jill. I have always wanted to go and live in France, but would there be much call for teaching there? Yeah, there's plenty of opportunity, I think, to teach in France, um, and in other European countries too. You know, there's there's no shortage of people that want to learn English out there. So there's lots of scope for teachers. Robert says, for me, it would be great to see the students excited about making progress. Yeah, very good point, Robert. So you get that satisfaction from your work. You know that you're helping people achieve their goals, their ambitions, and you can see them making progress as you go along. So Samantha says, work in enjoyment, flexibility, work in the mornings. Yeah, and you've got the rest of the day. Here's an important point from Minna. She says that, or he says, sorry, I need stability from my job. Very important. Good point. Leona says, working parts of the day with downtime, learning about the culture. Satisfaction from the students, would even love to teach art through English. That's a great idea. Or even teach English through art. Um, one of the benefits of going abroad to teach is that you're working, you've got an income to support you while you're soaking up the local culture, perhaps learning the language of where you're going as well. In fact, you know, that's a great idea. If you are going to teach abroad, um, is to take some classes in the language, so you've got a good perspective as a student as well. You can understand your students a bit better, I think, if you do that. And here's a comment from Lois: help children after school, teach individuals needing it for business. Yeah, desire to really see people learn the language. Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much for all those comments. Yeah. So those are some of the reasons why people might like to work abroad, um, either online or go and work in a foreign country. So we're going to talk a little bit about some things to think about. Um, what things do you need to consider? And these are kind of 20 questions or 20 points to help you think about um, making a decision when you're choosing a job. So it very much depends on where you want to live, on what you want to do, what kind of teaching you want to do. There's many different variables in your decision. So we've designed a few questions to help you along the way. Okay, so I think the fundamental question is, do you want to move abroad? Do you want to move overseas? Would you prefer to live in a big city or in a bit more of a rural situation, maybe by the sea or in a small village? What attracts you to a place? Is it the climate? Is it the culture? Um, are there lots of things for you to do when you're not working? Are the places interesting places to visit? What's the food like? Very important as well. Um, how long do you want to stay in one place, or how long are you able to stay in one place? Do you speak the language of the place that you want to work in? As I said, I think it's a very good idea to learn the language there. Um, I think it's good to show that you're a guest in that country, and people really appreciate it. If you can speak it just a little bit of the local language, it goes a long way, I would say. Um, Speaking about the food, is if you have certain dietary requirements, if you're vegan or gluten free, for example, is it easy to find good food in the place where you want to go? Um, and is it a long term plan, or is it just for a few months? Are you are you moving for another reason that you're going to be staying in that country for quite a long time? I actually stayed abroad in one country for quite a long time because it was a new life for me, um, to set up a new home there with a new family, or to make a family. So it was a very much a big life choice, but it doesn't have to be. It could be, for example, wow, I really like Italian culture. I'd love to teach in Italy for a year or so, or I really want to visit South America. While I do that, I can teach along the way. So lots of things to think about. Will you be traveling alone? Are you going to be meeting family in your destination country? Are you taking your family with you, um, for a new job, for example? Maybe your partner or your family has connections to that country. And if you're taking children, you'll need to think about schooling and all of those considerations. Perhaps to find an English speaking school for your children, an international school. Will it be an online school that you need to enroll your children in? Um, how will they fit into the culture? Will you be needing childcare, for example? So many things to think about, especially if you've got a family involved. Um, and also, if you're traveling alone, you have to think about that as well. It's maybe it's good to find a community there to help support you, maybe kind of expatriates community, or meeting people online, so that you've got a kind of support system. You're not there totally alone. It's very important to do your research about your destination. Um, think about initially what attracts you to the place that you're going. Is it again, like as I said, is it the climate? Do you want to work in a nice hot country, or is it a particular culture that you're interested in, like an Asian culture or South American, for example? Is it something else? Is it the geography or the food of a country? But you need to think about doing your research, especially the cost of living. You need to look at the salaries that are possible for where you're working, the amount of work that you can do there, the variety of the work. Is it enough to support you? Will you have to travel for your work once you get to your destination? What's the public transport like where you're going? What's the internet connection like? Is it secure and fast internet connection if you want to work from home? Are there any restrictions to the internet where you're going? So my advice is to do as much research as you can about the place. Um, Many jobs that are advertised, they might have some information about the cost of living. It's usually something um, like simple. What are simple groceries, what the cost is, how much is a loaf of bread, basic things like that. And then you can decide, you can see how expensive it is in relation to the UK or wherever you're coming from. Look at the currency um, conversion from the country, the destination to the source country, to see, is it fluctuating. We've had a bit of a fluctuating pound in the UK over the last couple of weeks, but we won't talk about that. So do your research, make sure that you know everything that you need to know about your destination. So also part of the research is looking into the contracts that your new employer is offering. So things like the length of the contract, is it a short-term or a long-term contract? Is it for 9 months, a year, 6 months? Is it a rolling contract? Is it going to be automatically renewed, or there's a possibility for it to be renewed at the end of your contract? Have a think about the number of teaching hours per week as well, and if an hour is an hour, or if an hour is 45 minutes or 40 minutes, how long is a lesson? If there's administration involved in your work, are you going to be paid for that? Are you going to be paid for doing lesson plans and creating materials and other kind of administration or extracurriculum activities? Are you going to be participating in a social program as well, taking your students out to different locations, perhaps? Will you have to travel for your work? Will you be paid for travel? If you're teaching business English, for example, and you have to go into the company offices, is that going to be part of your reimbursement? Are there pre-prepared materials? Are you going to be working from a set curriculum or a set syllabus, or is it something that you have to make up yourself? And how long will it take you to make those materials? So please do have a good look at the contract. Most contracts are between 6 and 12 months, usually. Most are renewable, I would say. And I would say, look at them to make sure that you know exactly what the teaching hours are. So depending on how long their class is now, it could be 40, 50 minutes, or even a 60-minute, an actual hour. What's your working week going to look like? How many classes will you be teaching every day? In the beginning, it was quite a long day when I started teaching many years ago, because I was teaching from in the morning till late in the evening. So, but that was fine. That's what I wanted to do, because I had to travel to get there. So these are the considerations that you need to think about. Are you going to have a classroom assistant as well? Are you going to be working alone, or is there going to be a native speaking classroom assistant in the classroom with you, for example? Are you going to be teaching a specific level, or many different levels, and which age group? Ask all of these questions when you're in your interview or looking at the contract. Is there someone that you can go to ask questions? Someone to mentor you, or help support you? Are you going to get technical support at all if you're using technology in the classroom, if you're working from home, if you're doing a combination of those things, working in the classroom and working remotely? Some contracts might ask you to work in different locations in the same company, different schools, so you might have to hop around a little. So please do check out these things and look at the contract really carefully. So just to summarize, yeah, check if there's a classroom assistant. Are they speaking the local language, the native language? Look at the type of levels that you've got and the type of age groups. Are you going to be observed as well? That's a good point. Is there going to be observations in your first couple of weeks? What other extra administration duties will you have to do? And look at the different locations as we've mentioned as well. For example, if you're going to be working for a big company in a big city, they've got many different branches all over town. So you might ask if you're expected to work in multiple branches of the same company. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the potential benefits that a company may provide. Are they going to help you find your accommodation? Is that part of the package? Is it included in the deal, in the contract? Or you have to find your own and pay for your own accommodation? What is the cost of accommodation uh, in the cost of living? Um, will you need to, or do you have the option of taking um, language lessons in the country where you're going? Is it included? Is that the opportunity that you've got there? If you're teaching in China, for example, will you be getting some Mandarin lessons or Spanish lessons or whatever it might be, depending on where you go? Is there healthcare? Is there medical care involved? This is a very important point as well. So you also check your medical insurance in the country where you're going, because um, you know you never know what can happen. You need to be assured that you're going to be taken care of if you get sick or you have an accident. Um, if if you're going to have to pay for that healthcare, that medical care, will you need to take out insurance before you leave, or is there a reciprocal agreement with the country that you're going to? Um, are they going to include the transport to get to the country where you're going to be working? Are they going to pay the airfare, for example? Some companies might pay the fare in. They might pay half the fare. So it's worth asking about these things. Are you going to be expected to fund your own travel completely? Do your research. There might be some other bonuses included based on your teaching performance, feedback from your learners, for example. Um, is there a bonus for completing the contract? When you get to the end of your 9-month contract, for example, it's incentivized by getting a bonus at the end of that contract. Um, and if you want to or need to take a holiday, um, is there holiday pay involved as well? So it's definitely worth checking, asking your potential employer to provide details about all of these things, and check your contract for these things as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about agencies. So you might be using an agency to find your work, um, and they work in different ways. So some agencies take a commission, um, and it's worth finding out if that commission is taken in any way from your from your salary, or usually what happens is the commission is paid by the school to the agents, but it's worth checking that because you don't want to find out that a proportion of your salary has been taken off because you found work through an agency. And also, this applies generally as well. Are you going to get any kind of visa application assistance from the company or from the agency? Many companies, some of the better ones out there, will talk you through that process. They'll give you advice about how to apply for visas, about how long you can stay in the country, and so on, what the visa regulations might be. Of course, some countries have much more rigorous visa considerations than other countries, so please do have a look at that. Um, Again, it's really important to do as much research as you can. So basic things like the location of the school, is it in a accessible part of the country or the town, or if it's outside of a big city, what are the transport links like? How long has this company been in existence? Are they a very well established company? Is it a brand new company? Have they got a good reputation? You can find out some testimonials, some student testimonials, some reviews from the company. Another good way to find out about the company is go online and go into to Facebook groups and Instagram groups to find out from the community, people that might have worked there before. There are websites that give you an idea about the company, and people can comment on working for that company. For example, it's good to find out how many students the school has. Is it a kind of boutique small school that has very small class sizes, or is it a really large, massive organization that has 30 students in the class and they have hundreds and hundreds of students in the school? What kind of courses does it offer? Is it including business lessons? Is it just for children? Is it just for young learners, or is it for adults as well, for teenagers? And again, how many branches does that company have? If it's one of the big language schools in Europe, for example, or in Asia, they've got multiple branches in the city. And which ones are the busy ones? Which ones are the biggest ones with the most students? The best way to find out about a school is to try to find out what the students say about the school. They're the best people to ask about that. What was their experience like of learning in that school? Okay, so let's go back to thinking again. Now that we've spoken about a few things, I want you to again visualize your ideal class. How many students are there in the classroom? Is there technology in the classroom? Is there no classroom because you're teaching online? What what is the level of your students? Are they beginners? Are they advanced students? Are they learning business English? Are they learning to pass an exam, for example? Tell me what you think. Just have a think about that. Close your eyes for a second and think about the ideal classroom where you are. Put that in the comments for me. Where would that be? Would it be hot outside? Would it be noisy because you're in the center of the city? Would it be quiet and peaceful because you're in a village? What do you think? Would you be teaching in the morning, in the afternoon? Any ideas? Well, while you think about that, let's talk about some practical things before you travel. Obviously, you're going to need a passport. You're going to need your ID documents. You might need to have your health certificate and health insurance as well. Um, Vaccination status as well. Yeah, so you might need to get certain vaccinations before you enter certain countries. You might need to provide a police check, um, and how to go about that. I mean, these some of the things that a company might help with. Good companies, ones with the better reputations, will have this as part of their induction process, and they're part of their recruitment process to help you to walk you through these the documents that you need. Um, do you need to get your documents legalized? Is there a notarization that is required? Um, the official stamps, or to get your documents translated, for example, um, apostille for certain companies is required, for example. Um, so it's a good idea to start getting these documents together. Put them on a shared drive, for example, that might make your life a lot easier to scan them. Of course, you need the physical ones, but I think it's a good idea to have a digital backup as well. Um, and while you're applying, while you're in the recruitment process, to make these documents easily shared, so that you're kind of not looking in different places for them, and checking at the last minute. So do your preparation in the beginning. Make sure you've got all of these documents ready. So of course there are many financial considerations to think about. Um, are you going to need a local bank account? How difficult is it to open a local bank account? What documentation, proof of address do you might need to open that account? It might not be possible until you're there with a proper address, with a contract. Um, in some countries, it's quite easy to open a bank account. Some countries, maybe not so easy. Um, Obviously, think about the tax considerations as well. What proportion of your income is going to be taxed? Um, is that kind of set fee? Is it likely to change while you're there, or does the company give any advice about that? Will you need to buy insurance for your health, as we've discussed, or even for your accommodation, for your possessions, for example? Travel insurance. Will you have to pay for these things yourself, or is that part of the contract? So I'm sure you've got a lot of homework to do if you are going to a foreign country. Things like your driving license. Is it going to be easy to use your driving license if you want to drive in a particular country? Even if you're going abroad and you're teaching, you're going to be teaching online. You need to think about these things as well. Okay, so it's such an exciting prospect to think, wow, I'm going to be teaching abroad. I can't wait to get on the plane and starting to explore my new country. But Of course, like most things, it's important to do your research, to do as much planning and preparation as possible to make things go smoothly so that you can be confident that you can start teaching and starting to enjoy the experience of embracing a new culture. And I hope that some of these things that we talked about here has been useful for you. Okay, so we're coming towards a Q&A section. So again, I want you to think about, do you have any questions? Anything I can clarify for you? What is your ideal teaching scenario, or anything else that I can help you with? Um, I've got fair experience of preparing and getting ready to teach and live in a different country, opening a bank account and so on. So if you've got any questions, now's the time. You can put them into the comments. Here's a couple of comments um, for us to think about. This is from Alison. She says, I'm a pensioner and want to be able to teach from wherever I am as I am traveling a lot. I need to make some money too. Yes. Uh, will this be crazy because of the need to take your teaching equipment with you? No, I don't think it's crazy at all. I think it's a great idea. Um, I can't think of anything better to be able to enjoy your retirement and get an income and meet lots of great people, help them and experience different cultures. In terms of equipment, what would you need? A laptop, a few books, um, so a few games and things like that, a few props for the classroom. I don't think you need a lot of equipment. You can travel very light, and once you get to a destination, you can get what you need as well. If you're teaching online, I'm not sure what kind of equipment you need. You can survive on the very basics: a laptop and a good set of headphones. Great. Um, I don't think you would need to carry many things around with you. Perhaps if you're going to be in a country for a certain amount of time, a bigger monitor might be useful, or mm, a writing tablet, for example, things like that. If you're teaching young learners, you can have props and puppets and things like that. But no, I don't think you need to be taking many things around with you, Alison. She said also thanks for the tip to Cass. So yeah, it's great that you're sharing your tips. I think we'll show that actually. You can find day in the life um, clips on YouTube. Okay, so they were talking about finding resources and things like that. Yeah, that's great. Um, you can check out the TEFL Academy website. The blog there has got some very useful tips there as well. Let's see. Here's a question from Leanna. What's the average time or length of the application process? And is it good to consider when school terms and semesters start? Yeah, I think the recruitment process will vary. Sometimes it's quite quick. If you've got all of your documents prepared, everything's ready, you've already got everything ready to go. You've legalized your documents. You've got all of your insurance taken care of. You know where you're going. You've done your research. That is obviously going to speed the recruitment process along. If you're literally just starting the process, it can take time. Lawyers take time to respond. Uh, if you need to get your documents legally processed, so it really does depend. I don't think it should take too long. Maybe a month at the longest, maybe a little bit more. hopefully a lot less than that. And it's definitely worth thinking about when is the right time to jump, because the term times are going to vary from country to country, and you want to be there ideally before the term time starts. Get settled in your new place, you know, get to know the school, get to know the area, get settled in, and then you can prepare to teach, and you can start at the beginning of the semester. But yeah, it's a good point. Thank you for that. Here's a comment from Jill, I think it is. I feel that working in a medium-sized village, yeah, 8 to 10 young learners or adults in early stage learning, teaching early evening mornings at the weekend, working in a school as extracurricular. That sounds ideal, yeah. Very varied, a nice uh, small or medium-sized village. That sounds really good. Yep, I like it. Here's a question from Afra. Any idea about the English online teaching platforms such as Dada ABC, Say ABC, iTutor, Synthesis? Are they reliable as employees? Yeah, I don't personally have experience with these companies. Maybe some of the others can make a comment about those. I'll keep that comment up for a little while. Does anyone have experience or knowledge about them, uh, or if you've researched these companies before? Any comments about these companies? Of course, I'm aware of these companies. You know, there are many companies out there. Some are a bit more well known than others, and reputations can vary. Um, the salaries vary quite a lot as well, and it's really important to do as much research as you can. You can compare different different schools and different options. So yeah, I think it's worth having a look at those, especially if they're kind of new companies. If you haven't seen their name crop up before, I would definitely, okay, this is a new company. They might be great. They might be, very good, very organized, and have a good reputation already. And then some of the older, more established companies might not be good um, to work for at the moment. Maybe their reputation is once good, but maybe they're not as good as they used to be, or so it really depends. Um, Look closely at their contracts, look closely at the salary and how they're going to help you set up in a different country. Are they going to help with all these things that we talked about, with the accommodation, with flights, and so on? Because it may maybe that the salary is a little bit different or a bit lower than other companies, but the overall package is really good. And if it fits your destination and if it fits your desire to work in a specific country, that's going to have a big factor on your choice, isn't it? Also, I've worked in a secondary school for 15 years in the learning support department. I was wondering if you think that this experience will be an asset when applying for jobs. I think it's definitely a positive thing to have on your CV, because you've had experience dealing with teachers, excuse me, with students, helping support students, working day to day in a school and education environment. And I think this is definitely a very good selling point on your CV. Yeah, I think companies will be looking for that that kind of experience and kind of um, confidence of working in a school and working with students. Yeah. Question from Samantha. Do you know which countries accept the TEFL certificate without a teaching degree? Not off the top of my head, Samantha, no, but please do check out the TEFL Academy website because there's much more information there. Um, I think um, I think it really depends on the destination and on the school where you want to work, the type of mm, levels and age group that you're working with as well. So it can there can be quite a lot of variation, I would say. But I'll be honest, I don't know off the top of my head which countries might it might be one of the countries that you wouldn't need to have a teaching degree. But I know that there are many countries out there and destinations where a degree is not required. So there's plenty of options. Do check out the TEFL Academy. Let's just have a look at some of your comments here. Do you have any questions about uh, contracts or about accommodation? Do you have any? Is anyone out there actually in the process of applying for a job at the moment, or actually done any research on the companies that we've discussed? Are there any anything you can share about your experience about the recruitment process? This is just coming back to Cass's comments about looking for resources and videos online while we're here. So generally look for videos teachers have uploaded about what it's like to work for certain companies. Oh yeah, very good, very good. Also look at Glassdoor to see what the reviews are like. So Glassdoor was one of the platforms I mentioned that gives reviews of certain companies where people ex-employees have written reviews basically and given a a score, and it's a very good resource to look at. Um, but all things like uh, as I said, Facebook groups where people can comment about working for a company. Um, Things like onboard, like Reddit, for example, where there are subreddits about teaching abroad. LinkedIn is another good source. You can check out companies there as well. And social media in general is a good place to start looking and asking people about their experiences for working with different companies. But that's really good advice. Thank you, Cass. YouTube, yep. You can look for these companies there. TEFL Academy, of course, is a good place to start looking at different countries to work in, and then you can research the companies as well. Minna says, which do you prefer, work from home, online, or in a classroom? Is this a question for me, Minna? Um, I like a bit of variation. I love working in a classroom because working directly with students is great. It's something that can't be replicated. I enjoy working online as well because it's got that flexibility. There's no travel involved, and there's I love using the technology as well. So I wouldn't like to do just one of those things. I'd like to have the opportunity to do both of those things and have a kind of blended experience. So that was a question for me. Thank you, Mena. Well, that's a good question in general for you to think about when you are considering a job abroad. Do you really want to just work online? Do you want to be able to work directly with students in the classroom? Do you like the physicality of being in a classroom, or do you prefer working with all of the technology? So I think what I'm going to do is just ask you to just say the countries that you're thinking about working in. So I know quite a few people have said um, they mentioned Europe, they've mentioned South America, but if you could just drop the country that you'd like to work in the comments, let's just see if we've got a good variation there. So Mena says China, right? So there's obviously a lot of opportunities there, but also the Middle East. I'm not sure how to say that name, but someone is saying Germany. Yeah, plenty of opportunities there. Liana says Mexico, Spain, Australia. Wow, you're going to be doing a lot of traveling. Tyrone says Sweden. Alison says Ireland or Australia. Ireland is an interesting choice as well. Yeah, there's many language schools in Ireland. What else have we got? Robert says Argentina, Uruguay, fantastic. Geraldine, Ecuador, France, Italy. Samantha says Africa, Middle East, or Japan. Japan would be a fascinating place to teaching. All right, so great. Thank you very much for that. So I can see that there are so many opportunities out there. It would be such an amazing experience to teach around the world, and you're not restricted to any one place as well. Well, I'm going to say thank you very much for attending today. It's been my pleasure, as usual, to speak with you today. I hope you found it useful. And let's just take that comment away. Yep, I hope you found it very useful. Before you go, it would be really great if you could tell us what you think about these webinars that we're providing. So I've put a link in the comments, and you can scan the QR code and give us your feedback, please. It's very, very much appreciated. We really do look at your comments and see how we can improve these webinars and these sessions. So that's all from me today. I hope you found that of use, and I'll see you again hopefully another time. So have a great day. Thank you very much for watching with me today. I'll leave that up for a while. Please do give us your feedback. Thanks very much.